A second person has accused Monsignor Craig Harrison of sexual misconduct. The investigation continues after a body is discovered near McFarland, and Kern River safety is emphasized with a somber update at the mouth of the canyon. This is 17 News at noon.
Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Maddie Jansen. We are getting more information today about the second accusation against Monsignor Craig Harrison. Over the weekend, we learned a second person had come forward with sexual misconduct allegations against the father at St. Francis of Assisi Church here in Bakersfield. The Fresno Diocese confirms a second person reported the alleged incident on Thursday after the first accusation was made public. Teresa Dominguez, a spokeswoman for the diocese, says the diocese encouraged the accuser to report the incident to Merced Police, which has jurisdiction over the area where the alleged abuse occurred. The person agreed, and Merced Police are now investigating. Officers tell us they're conducting a sexual battery investigation, but could not release further details. The diocese says it will continue its own investigation into the case. This morning, they told us the second man alleging abuse says it happened in the late 80s. We reached out to Kyle Humphrey, Monsignor Craig Harrison's attorney. He released the following statement in response to the new allegations. In part, he says, quote, "These people are committing character assassination on a good man. We will continue to fight against these false allegations, and we will restore Monsignor Craig's good name and see him reinstated to his rightful place as pastor of St. Francis Parish." To read the complete response and see more of this coverage, you can head to our website, kget.com. Detectives are investigating after a body was found south of McFarland. The person had what sheriff's officials called traumatic injuries. The body was found Saturday afternoon, just about 1 p.m. in the area of Whistler and Garzoli Roads. Anyone with information regarding this incident is asked to call the Kern County Sheriff's Office at 861-3110, or you can remain anonymous by calling the Secret Witness Hotline at 322-4040. An 18-year-old suspected of shooting and killing a man has been arrested. 24-year-old Daniel Macias was shot multiple times while sitting in a vehicle in the 1600 block of Panama Lane on April 13th. This Saturday, BPD officers arrested Christian Campos. He's being held without bail. The investigation is ongoing. A devastating discovery inside a burned home. The fire happened Saturday night on Corrientes Street near East Bakersfield High School. After the flames were extinguished, firefighters found a man dead inside. The victim has not yet been identified. A sure sign summer's on the way, and a pointed warning to anyone who wants to swim in the Kern River. The sign at the mouth of the canyon was updated this morning with the number of drownings from last year. The sign as you enter the Kern River Canyon now reads, 298 lives have been lost in the river since 1968. Officials say the river looks deceptively calm and that its appearance hides powerful and deadly currents.
We looked at the snowpack this year, the amount of rainfall that we had, and we realized that we could potentially see a repeat of 2017 where we had a record number of deaths in the Kern River. So again, we do look at this year. We expect that the river levels are going to be high, much higher than average, and that the river is going to be more dangerous than normal.
2017 tied 1985 for the record for most deaths in the river. This week, KCSO and the Kern River Conservancy are kicking off a 3-part river safety campaign. One piece of advice: if you want to go in the river, go with professionals. If you're caught by the current, float on your back with your feet up in a lawn chair position. Making news around our state, a woman who was killed in the San Diego synagogue shooting Saturday is now being called a hero who gave her life saving others. And the FBI now says they received a tip on a threatening social media post just 5 minutes before the synagogue attack. Too late to identify the suspect. Miguel Almaguer has more on that man who's now in custody and the life of the victim.
Overnight, a vigil to honor the victims of Saturday's shooting at the Shabbat of Poway Synagogue. Gunshots ringing out on the last day of Passover.
Somebody was screaming, hide yourself, shooting. So we all laid on the floor and started crawling towards the exits.
60-year-old Lori Gilbert Kay was shot and killed inside the temple when she stepped in front of the gunman wielding a semi-automatic rifle.
Lori took 3 shots to her body. Those 3 bullets could have been 3 other people.
Passover is one of the holiest days of the Jewish faith. Some 100 people were inside, including many children.
I was scared. It felt like the movies, like you have to hide so we won't get shot and stuff.
The alleged shooter, 19-year-old John Ernest, was taken into custody Saturday after he called 911 to report himself to police. Ernest, an honor roll student and a musician, has no prior record and was arrested and booked on 1 count of first-degree murder and 3 counts of attempted murder. A teenager turning a day of solace into a day of horror. Miguel Almaguer, NBC News.
The woman who was killed this weekend in what is now being called a suspected DUI crash has been identified. 27-year-old Shannon Nicole West was the passenger in a BMW driven by Robert Garone. CHP says Garone was driving under the influence Friday night when he missed a stop sign and slammed into the pickup on the Highway 89 off-ramp to Coppice Road. West was killed. Garone suffered major injuries. The driver of the truck received minor injuries. Garone has been arrested and faces charges of felony DUI and vehicular manslaughter with gross negligence. A deadly crash last night on the Grapevine backed up traffic for miles. It happened just before 5:30 p.m. on northbound I-5, just south of Grapevine Road. The CHP says a white Chevy Silverado was headed north at a high rate of speed when the driver veered right, then left, and hit the center divider and rolled down the embankment. The CHP says the driver, a man in his 40s, was ejected, and he died at the scene. The Condors' playoff run continues. The team won the first round of the Calder Cup playoffs and is getting ready to face San Diego in round 2. Rabobank Arena was packed Saturday night. More than 8,000 fans filled the stands to support the Condors. The team flew away with a 5-2 win over the Colorado Eagles. Now the Condors are preparing for Game 1 of Round 2 against the Gulls. It's set for Friday night at Rabobank. Puck drops at 7. Unlike Round 1, Round 2 is best of 7. The first 2 games will be played here in Bakersfield. There are lots of animals that need forever homes, so we're teaming up with the Bakersfield SPCA to help. Our annual pet adoption drive and fundraiser is happening this week. This is a look at last year's event. On Wednesday, there will be puppies and kitties available for adoption for a reduced fee. If your family's already full, the SPCA will also be collecting donations to help continue its services. Not just that, Krispy Kreme will be on hand selling donut holes, or what they're calling fur balls. These aren't your average tiny donut holes. They're a lot bigger. $10 will get you a dozen, and all the money will benefit the SPCA. It all happens Wednesday from 5 a.m. to 2 p.m. just outside of our studios at 22nd and M Streets in downtown Bakersfield. The Delano Police Department wants the community to get to know the men and women keeping their streets safe. That's why they're inviting you out this afternoon for a neighborhood block party today from 3 to 6:30 p.m. in Delano in the 100 block of Dover Place just off First Avenue. The event is free. There will be food, music, and a bounce house. We're back now on your 17 Health Watch this Monday afternoon. The ongoing measles outbreak isn't showing any signs of letting up anytime soon. New CDC data shows that as of Friday, there have been 704 cases in 22 states, and the majority are in kids who have not been vaccinated. This is the highest number of cases in 25 years, and the number is expected to rise. Experts say measles is so contagious, an infected person can spread the disease for several days before they even develop a rash. The virus can even linger in a room for a few hours after an infected person has left. You're urged to speak to your doctor if you're not sure if you've received both doses of the MMR vaccine. A new study out of Sweden suggests obesity increases the risk of anxiety and depression in young people, regardless of any other factors. Researchers tracked more than 12,000 children being treated for obesity. They found girls were 43% more likely to develop anxiety or depression compared to their normal weight peers. Obese boys had a 33% higher risk of mental health problems. It's a disease that's rare and difficult to diagnose. It's called sarcoidosis. But one woman from Illinois is sharing her story to raise awareness and help find a cure. Lauren Petty reports.
Even with her husband by her side, Leslie Berry has had a long road.
My journey began in the end of 2016, going into 17.
That's when Leslie started experiencing fatigue and shortness of breath. But it took nearly 9 months of tests to figure out why.
Truthfully, my reaction was, what the hell is that? How do you spell it? And how did I get this? Because I didn't know what it was.
It was sarcoidosis, a rare inflammatory disease that had impacted her lungs and lymph nodes.
200,000 people in the United States have sarcoidosis. So I guess I'm special because, nobody gets this. And when people get it, they don't know what it is.
It's a chronic inflammatory disease. It's not an infection. It's not a malignancy.
Dr. Peter Sporn at Northwestern Medicine says there have been no major advances in sarcoidosis treatment in years.
Research funding for sarcoidosis has lagged behind funding for other diseases. We're working to change that.
By giving this disease more of a voice, we're letting industry know that our science is here, our patients are here, and there is a huge, huge need to not just find a cure, but to really get treatments to help patients live day to day.
And working with specialists, including Dr. Sporn and the Bernie Mac Sarcoidosis Center at UI Health, to better understand the rare disease that has taken over Leslie Berry's life.
We used to walk maybe 3 to 5 miles a day. I can't sometimes walk to the car.
But Leslie isn't giving up hope.
That they find something that could cure this.
And we're back in your 17 Business Watch, checking stocks. The Dow is up today, just about 23 points. And we'll have more on that coming up today on 17 News at 5 and 6. Meantime, checking out oil prices while we're at it. West Texas Intermediate is selling for $63.54 a barrel this afternoon. Midway Sunset started the day at $69.30 a barrel. Boeing CEO faces shareholders and reporters exactly 6 months after the first of 2 deadly 737 MAX airline crashes. Dennis Muhlenberg walking into his first press conference since the 346 people were killed in 2 separate crashes, one on Lion Air, the other Ethiopian Airlines. Questions today focusing mainly on a sensor tied to Boeing's Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System, or MCAS. Reporters asking about the design of the system, the approval process, and whether pilots were properly trained. The press conference coming after Boeing's annual shareholder meeting, where Muhlenberg called for a moment of silence to honor those who died, telling shareholders and reporters safety is his top priority.
We know that in both accidents there was a chain of events that occurred. One of the links in that chain was the activation of the MCAS system because of erroneous angle of attack data. That was a common link in both accidents. We know that we can break that link in the chain. That is a link that we own. It's our responsibility to eliminate that risk, and the software update does exactly that.
Muhlenberg says it was a chain of events that led to the accidents, and that cannot be attributed to any single item, but there will be improvements made to the MCAS system. Boeing will also retrofit all current planes at no cost. Yet another infant sleeper is being yanked from store shelves just weeks after Fisher-Price recalled its deadly rock-and-play sleeper. Kids 2 has recalled all models of its rocking sleepers, nearly 700,000 units, because since 2012, 5 infants have died while using the sleepers. The sleepers were sold at major retailers across the country, including Walmart, Target, and Toys R Us. Kids 2 says to stop using the sleepers and contact the company for a refund or voucher. Earlier this month, Fisher-Price recalled nearly 5 million rock-and-play sleepers after being blamed for infant deaths. Fisher-Price and its parent company, Mattel, are now facing a class action lawsuit. Welcome back. 17 Entertainment News now. The Avengers rule the universe and the weekend box office. Avengers Endgame Hulk smashes the record for the biggest opening weekend, earning $350 million in the U.S. and Canada, and more than $1 billion worldwide. Theaters nationwide adding showings as existing ones quickly sold out. That success likely boosting Captain Marvel to second place 8 weeks after that film's opening, with more than $8 million in ticket sales. Last week's top movie, The Curse of La Llorona, falling to third place this weekend. The horror flick earning more than $7 million.